is 6 o'clock. Call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Start off with recognition.
All right, well, good evening. I want to give a couple of shout outs this evening. As you know, over the course of this school year, we've been working with members of the community to support our food pantry. We teamed up with some people who make deliveries weekly. But to take that one step further, there's a group in town called Hearts for Heat that's been around for several years. They held their annual spaghetti dinner this past Saturday. I was lucky enough to attend with our 2-year-old. But it was a great event. The Otters played. I don't know if you guys know the Otters. They sang a lot of 70s covers. But a very nice night. I want to give a big shout out to Sue Lewandowski and her entire team who put on the event. We have members of our staff who are in attendance as well. So very nice night and a good fundraiser for those who need support with fuel assistance. I want to jump ahead. I put this on my kind of report, but I want to just, something that I want to just bring to the attention of everybody at the beginning of the meeting. This past week, I received a package from Christine Stutter. She lives in Tucson, Arizona, and she found which I believe is a yearbook or a literary magazine from 1937. It's called a Commentarium. I'll pass this around, but it appears to be the yearbook from the class of 1937 from North Brookfield High School. Very cool stuff. I wanted to give you all a look at this. I've tried to reach out to Christine to no avail as of today, but I would like to connect with her and thank you for sending this along. It is a nice piece of North Brookfield history, and I kind of want to leave up to the committee for some guidance on where we should display this, whether we do that here in the high school, or I know there is a historical showcase, if you will, down at the public library. So, but really cool stuff. Talks about graduates from even 1927 in there, so it goes back in time even further. That's all I have for recognitions this evening.
I had a chance to glance through this earlier, and I believe there's a section here that actually lists the alumni that were still alive at the time of publishing, and I think there's one from 18. I'm trying to find it again.
So Brandon Andrew know this exists?
I haven't yet. I know that he's the historical guru of town.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, commentary alumni, and the first alumnus listed, Mrs. Lizzie Clark, living in Melrose, Massachusetts, class of 1871. And in 1937, I would assume she's still living. It doesn't say that for sure, but I'm assuming that's what it is, because she's the only one from that class listed.
I believe there's a section in there, class will and testament, which we still hold that tradition in high school. We do that every year, so it's something that has been around at least since 1937, probably longer.
And there's also a photo from a newspaper clipping. It's the senior trip to Washington, D.C. You can see that. Clearly a tradition carried on. Going to D.C. They were on the steamship Arrow in Providence on the first leg of their trip to Washington. A little different than taking the bus down. A little letter in there in front of the wall. I think it would be great to have the Historical Society involved, at least It'd be great to have it scanned and made available. It's pretty decent history.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people who are still in the community who I'd love to see that, so. I'll reach out to Mr. Avery. Check it out.
Any other recognition?
No, that's it.
Here's one that came from Terry. So just looking at the actual. So, comments. I know Harry's not this year at 86.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was a comment that we put down. 37. See, it's really saying anything.
Yeah. It seems to be a favorite word.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know where it came from.
All right, guys, moving on to approval of minutes. Any comments on minutes from last week's meeting?
I move to approve the minutes from
December 16th.
December 16th, 2024.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor of approving minutes? Aye. Public participation? No public participation. Great. I guess, question under communications, we received some gifts. I'm not sure. These are gifts to Kim Frechette and Colin, so we have the elementary school.
Correct.
These are gifts through Amazon for I'm not sure who gave what exactly. Well, some I can't really tell. Weighted lap pad, weighted blanket. I think that's from Angelini, thank you Angelini. From Kelly Doobie. So puzzles, activities, sound machine, white noise generator. Fluorescent light covers for ceiling lights. More of the same, and another weighted lap pad. And the name on this one, I'm not sure what she gave, but her name is Vanessa Vicente. So thank you to all those, and I guess,
I move we accept the gifts.
yes. Second? All in favor of accepting these gifts for the calm room? Right. Thank you very much. Those. Oh, there's another one. Just for the record, maybe this is duplicate. Sound machine, puzzle book, another search and find book and sensory, occupational therapy toys, home toys, anxiety relief. Altogether. Communications. No. All right. North Brookfield High School Stuco Hyannis trip.
All right, this is a yearly request. Ms. Malone would actually be here, but she's coaching right now, so I'm filling in for her and Dante for filling details if I miss anything. But this is North Brookfield's yearly pilgrimage down to Hyannis for the big statewide conference, which has been held. So this before I attended when I was in high school, so that was a long time ago. But this is what, 3 days, Dante?
Yes.
The students travel down, stay overnight for 3 days at, I believe it's changed names, but it's called the Hyannis Resort and Conference Center. I think it's
Just
something,
do the Cape Codder.
yeah, it's something different.
Yeah, I believe they stay one night at usually Cape Cod, and then they end up in one of the hotels put by the association.
And just real briefly, Dante, you want to just share with the committee kind of what the students participated while they're down there?
Yeah, so they stay one night extra over like for some bonding, and then during the conference, they attend leadership workshops of all different kinds. It can be communication, just overall leadership, many different things throughout the other 2 days of the conference. There's those during the day. They have other things like their banquet. They have what is always referred to as the rave one night. It's a very nice tradition.
I know that they also give designations to student councils, like silver and
Yes.
gold, and
So
Brookfield has earned
Yeah, we
gold.
received gold, National Gold Council of Excellence last year. We also received the 5-star rating on our excellence book.
So this is, like I said, this is a yearly trip for the student council, which I think they bring a lot back to the high school, a lot back to the district. As you all know, student council is a big part of the culture here. So this was added just to get approval by the school committee for them to attend this overnight trip.
Move that we approve student council members that are going on the trip to Hyannis.
Second. Any comments or questions about the trip?
They get a little 25-minute slideshow presentation when we get back that day.
I'm not going, you freshman above,
Oh,
so I hope to be going next year though.
well, tell whoever does go, we need let's say 15-minute slideshow presentation.
Multimedia.
Yep. Yeah, maybe some soundtrack too, we can do that.
Yeah. Some video, drone footage.
Seriously though, like it's great these trips they go on, and I personally, I think it livens up the school committee meetings when we have, like the DC trip did their presentation when they showed us what they did, even just talking about it, you get this, we approved the trip, you guys go, and then that feedback is like, it's just nice to see the enthusiasm and the momentum that it brings back into the school when they come back from whatever trip it is you go on. It's fun to hear about.
So you're saying on that testing data doesn't equal as far as these things?
Yeah, those trips have less graphs of numbers,
Okay.
more like youthful enthusiasm, which is what
I get you.
it's nice. We're gonna see plenty. I got a whole book full of graphs and numbers in front of me here, so.
All right, all in favor of approving the MASC Spring Conference Field trip? Aye. Have a blast.
Johnny, you going? Where's he going?
So they're trying to get me to go one day on they're gonna do a poker plunge. So I may go, I'm gonna go watch, I'm not going in the water, so.
It's not a great
All right, student representative report.
Alright, so Excellence Book and award submissions. At the beginning of this month, we submitted our MASC Excellence Book and we applied for the National Council of Excellence Award. We'll find out at the we'll find out about the MASC Excellence Book at our spring conference in March, and we'll find out about the national one later in the spring. Unity Week, our annual Unity Week will take place the week before February break. This event was used to will be used to enhance our sense of community as a school and to show support for all different types of people, from members of the LGBTQ+ community to people with special needs and just everyone's individuality. And then conferences and field trips. The MIC Spring Conference at Hyannis from March 4th to the 7th, and the Spring Conference in April. Our social medias, we invite all community members to follow our social media accounts to keep up with all NBHS student council activities and events. Our accounts are Instagram at NBStuco and Facebook at NBStuco. Student council meetings, all meetings are open to the school and community. Meetings are typically every other Monday in the high school kiva. Please feel free to join us if you have anything you would like to discuss or would just like to see how things are run.
Thank you, Bethany. Any questions? Thanks again. Financial reports. We had some transfers.
Yeah, so we've added the monthly report, we have some transfers, which I just want to recognize the young man has been on the job now for a little over a month-ish. It's always challenging to transition to a position like this midway through the school year, but she did her first Tyler Technologies training last week, which is an all-day training, so she has hit the ground running. But we had some transfers to add to this month's agenda. I'll kind of read through these without some of the numbers, the account numbers, I should say. So the first one is reporting secretary budget was added to school committee salaries account instead of reporting secretary amounts. So requesting approval to debit the budget of $1,210 from school committee salaries and a credit reporting secretary account budget amount. This will put these accounts in balance. The second is salaries were paid out of salaries payable. That should be paid out of the teacher's classroom high school. I am requesting approval to transfer the sum of $25,080 from the salaries payable to teacher's classroom high school. This will put these accounts in balance. Dues were paid out of membership districts, which has no balance instead of dues memberships superintendent district, which holds the budget. Therefore, requesting approval to transfer the sum of $12,196 to the dues membership superintendent district. This will put these accounts in balance. This next one, salaries are paid out of salaries payable. That should have been paid out of teachers, classroom, elementary. Therefore, I'm requesting approval to transfer the sum of $24,540 from the salaries payable to the teacher, classroom, elementary. This will put these accounts in balance. Next one is salaries are paid out of teacher professional days elementary. That should have been paid out of teacher specialists at elementary. I am requesting approval to transfer the sum of $3,537.72 from teacher professional days to teacher specialist elementary. This will put these accounts in balance. And the last two that we had, those are the first five. We have 7, but I do want to just table these for now because I just, as we were discussing this board meeting, I noticed that the dollar amount was the exact same. I just want to make sure that nothing was done in error there, so we'll make sure these are accurate the first time. So I'm going to table the last two. Check those numbers.
So this is just, well, first of all, we have to vote on, so, all in favor of approving the transfers as noted. Do I have a motion to?
I'll move to approve. I don't know if we need to vote on it to be signed it, but I'll move anyway, just to cover. to approve the 5 transfers this month. As read.
I'll second it. So, you know, this, I mean, without this two, the total is something like $60,000, thereabouts. There are two that we're leaving out. So it's just bookkeeping, making sure that the accounts are balanced.
About 66,000.
All right, all in favor of the transfers? Right.
Just so we know, Mr. McCormick, these sheets that are in these minutes don't reflect those transfers yet.
Correct, that's correct, yes.
So when
We didn't reflect those
people look at
until-
this and they
yeah.
see that the negatives, a lot of that'll get offset by what we just
Exactly.
wrote in here.
All right. Superintendent's report.
All right, so I already mentioned one item that I had on the initial report, but as we have been doing for several months, the hires and departures of the district. And as I mentioned last month, we were awarded a 1A Foundation grant for applied learning. Mr. Dewar and I attended a workshop, was that last Thursday, Mr. Dewar, or Friday?
Friday,
I forget how to tell the door, but, so this was the initial kickoff that is required for us to attend. We will then progress to some insight visits with Mr. Dewar, either Mr. Dewar or myself, and some teachers from the high school to go and observe some classrooms across the state that one of feels are exemplars regarding applied learning. And then there will be a team from our high school that will travel to Denver, Colorado, sometime in April, to see some of this work in action as well. So, and this is all grant funded, so this is not the school's budget. But this is work that we've been participating in for the past year and a half, and with the rollout of the Open SciEd model, our middle school science classrooms, our Project Lead the Way, and hopefully our curriculum for 8th grade civics in the near future. It really puts the focus back on students driving the conversation and student learning at the forefront. So we want to really see that model of work and really, hopefully, come back better prepared to kind of roll this out with fidelity across the district. So that's a quick update on those conferences and those workshops. Any questions with that piece?
Just a question about the hires and departures. Did see if we got a sub-separate departure and
Yes.
we have coverage in those classes.
Correct. That's that person that is currently working for us.
Okay. Just wanted to double check that in. Got some asking about that one. Just want to cover that. So is that substitute covering that or is it full-time?
She's currently employed by the district as an ABA. She'll do a long-term sub. For DESI regulations, we can have long-term sub, even for 90 days or under. So we felt this was the best option for that classroom. And this particular staff member has a knowledge base of these students. So we think it's already been a very good thing.
Great. And again, I just want to say it's really cool looking at that yearbook. It's fascinating and it's great. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Moore before we move to the budget?
All right, so moving on to budget presentation, proposed FY26 operating budget. Last Friday, you each received a binder with a 20-plus page narrative of the breakdown of the budget with all of the spreadsheets for each of the 10 departments. This evening I gave you a copy of tonight's presentation, which in essence is a lot of the same material, just streamlined with its 4 slides. So I'm going to be reading off 21 pages of notes for all of you. But I want to go through this kind of at a general level to start and break it down a little bit more granularly. And then, as we've done in the past, I think that this is the first draft. And this is a draft budget that will evolve and take our total iterations over the next couple of months. And that's through your feedback, guidance from this committee, but also guidance from the finance committee and other stakeholders about where we should go with FY26 operating budget. So I want to start with our mission statement, and this was redesigned and revised last fall. We had a committee of stakeholders put together a mission, vision, and our core objectives. Our mission is to empower every student to reach their full potential by providing a dynamic and inclusive learning environment that fosters creativity, critical thinking, and a sense of belonging. We are committed to continuous improvement, innovation, and celebration of diversity, ensuring the delivery of high-quality education to all. We prepare our students for success in global society by instilling qualities and skills to be contributing and effective citizens. I think that frames a lot of what we do on a daily basis. So our guiding principles for this development process. Again, we want to be as transparent, as accurate as possible. We want what we're talking about in the FY26 budget to reflect the actual needs of students and making it accessible to all stakeholders. This has been an inclusive planning process, and I really I can't thank enough the building principals, our directors, for all their efforts with this process. This takes several hours, days, weeks, many meetings, and more individual conversations with teachers and support staff about the actual needs for each of these budget categories. So I want to applaud them and thank them for their efforts. I really think that we did a really nice job with some areas that needed some kind of fine tuning, if you will, in this budget. And then resource management. Prioritize the preservation of resources while also considering necessary growth and improvements. So regular reevaluation and revision of our budget allocations. Like I said, this is a lengthy process. This is a starting point, which in my tenure here in this district, we started this process, this conversation in January. We don't typically we don't finalize the budget until June. So we have several months to go. As I mentioned, this budget, when we talked about what are our primary overarching objectives and themes that we can't lose sight of when we build this budget, and go back to our strategic objectives. And there's 3 core objectives that I just want to highlight. First was our curriculum and instruction enhancement. We're constantly looking at how we can improve our curriculum, our high-quality instructional materials, but also our delivery of the instruction for our students. Meeting the needs of all of our students. So every student that walks through these doors, both in these 2 buildings and any placement that the students are at, we want to make sure that they are feeling supported and they're being set up for success. And then third, but last but not least, is definitely fostering a culture of belonging. And you can make a case this would be number 1. So when every student, every staff member, and every family member comes to these 2 schools to feel like they belong to be part of a bigger school culture. So as we go through this, as we had conversations about our priorities, we always went back to our objectives and what was the most value to our district. Quickly, the goals for tonight, present the draft FY26 budget, start to receive feedback and guidance from the school committee, acknowledging that this is the initial step in the comprehensive engineering phase. And then last but not least, engage local stakeholders after this meeting to continue to develop this budget. As I mentioned, we have spent in the past several nights and meetings with the finance committee to talk about the state of the community and where the overall fiscal budget lies. So jump right into it. This next slide represents where we started for FY25 It's just over 7 million. The FY '26 recommended budget comes in right now at just over 8.2 million. With offsets, it's 9.763 million, which is an increase of $1.19 million, which right now is a 17% increase over FY '25 to FY '26. We're going to go through this, we're going to go through some future slides here, but you're going to see that salaries is the bulk of our entire budget here, coming in at just over 69% of the FY '26 budget. These have stayed fairly consistent, although there's some subtle changes I want to highlight, but we've had 3 major budget drivers, and we could add a 4th this year, but they continue to be salaries, looking at all of our salaries. So this is not just teachers, not just support staff, not just admin, this is all salaries combined. Last year, or FY '25 rather, just over 5.3 million. FY '26 is projecting at a roughly $358,000 increase, bringing that to 5.711 million, which is a 6.7% increase from FY '25 to FY '26. Now, salaries right now overall is a projection based on the fact that we are currently in contract negotiations with our teachers union, and we will have negotiations with our custodial union coming up in the near future. So these are projections based on data from across the state, but these are not actual numbers as of just yet. Our sped tuition, which is a big part of our special education budget, we saw a slight decrease, or we're projecting a slight decrease for FY '26. Looking at, we were at 1.797 million for FY '25, decreasing by roughly 50,000 for FY '26 and 1.74 million, which is a 2.76 decrease from FY '25 to FY '26. Transportation has gone up, and as I mentioned before, we have a multi-year contract with AA Transportation, so we have a set 6% increase every single year, but even with less transportation for certain parts of our other parts of our budget, that increase is still 11% at $150,000 from FY '25 to FY '26. So we talk about special education and more in particular our district placements. What that means, if you don't know, this is really the general view of the audience. Some of our students, we are not educated on premises. We send those students to different collaboratives or placements so they can be educated best that they need to be educated. So those placements every year cost the district both the tuition and transportation. If you may recall, 2 years ago at FY '24, the Operational Service Division, which kind of sets the increase every year for these tuitions, went to 14%. This was post-COVID, so we saw a huge surge in these costs for FY '24. It dropped to 6% for FY '25, and this year we're projecting at 4%. So we have seen a steady decline, but if you may recall, you may not, prior to COVID, we were pretty stable at 2-3% every year. So we're trending back towards that 2% increase, but we're not there yet. But 4% is much more favorable than 14%. As I mentioned already, we are seeing a slight decrease in our understudy placement tuition, about $50,000 less. But I want to add that special education placements are kind of fluid in a way. The reality is that we may have a student move into the district that we didn't account for, that we have to educate, need to educate, and that education will require we send that student out of district. So when we build this budget, although I wish we could, we don't have any extra money built in. The money that we build into this budget is based on what we projected to know right now. So there's no additional +2 tuition fees in there. So this is a budget that we built based on what we know as of January 27th. So again, this next slide just articulates the breakdown of special education on district placements from FY '25 to FY '26. As you can see, there is a reduction number from FY '25 to FY '26. If you do some quick math, you see that number isn't necessarily accurate, but the reason that it's 15 and not 16 is because students sometimes transition between categories, collaborative, private, and unfinished, and that was the case here. So rather than count additional students, because it was not additional students, the same students transition between two separate categories. As I just said, there is no contingency in our special education placement requests. This is how we project it right now as of January 27th, 2025. So I will just, again, this is in more detail in the write-up, but these are some budget reallocations or some shifts across the budget from department to department. We did shift just shy of $2,500 from extracurricular mentors to enhance our district professional development line. And this is continuing our focus on increasing teacher expertise. We have, as you know, partnered with Novak Education this year. We've had some fantastic meetings with Novak on Universal Design for Learning, or UDL, and we'll continue that for FY26. We have increased extraordinary maintenance by $5,000 in the budget to $20,000 total between the two schools. This was a line item that maybe 6-7 years ago was close to $60,000-$70,000. It's now down, what we're asking for is $20,000 from 15. And these are for needs that may arise over the course of the school year that were not budgeted as a line item. If something with the boiler were to break down and it's to exceed our budget, this is where we find it. Student transportation, I mentioned our contract with AA, but we have a line item for what is called Homeless Student or McKinney-Vento Act. We have upped that amount from just over $4,000 to $25,000 based on what we see this year, projections for next year. This money is reimbursed. So we need to cover the upfront cost, but this money is reimbursed. Technology upgrades. A lot of our technology budget is offset by E-rates, what's called E-rates, and also small rural school aid grant. So we are able to do a lot with a lot less, if you will, based on the offsets that we received from those two grant opportunities. But some of the upgrades we're looking at for FY26, we have to upgrade our desktops. Windows 11, as you may or may not know, is expiring, transitioning out in sometime late fall of 25. So we need to start making some of those upgrades. And then looking at some of our IT infrastructure. And then we also took a kind of a deeper look at some of our athletics. And we have maintained a core of sports, but we have some sports that we're not able to fill for last year and a half. So we looked at those particular sports and the transportation, the coaching, and the officials that entail with those sports that we were able to kind of get back on that. Proposals for budget addition. And this is something that, as we've gone through this school year, looking at our student population, conversations with Ms. Emery, with Mr. Murphy, we have a growing group of students at the early elementary level need additional supports. And this additional classroom, it's the K-5 subsequent special education classroom, would allow those students to remain in district, receiving instruction they need and deserve, without having to look at potentially sending them out of district. So this addition would be to add a full-time subsequent special education teacher for this classroom, plus a full-time ABA that's dedicated just to this classroom. And I just mentioned some of the rationale quickly, but we're looking at what's best for our students, keeping our students in district, but also looking at the financial piece of this, projecting out that in a very short amount of time, we may be looking at upwards of $500,000 to send some of these students out to receive education. My thought process, and this is shared by Ms. Emery, Mr. Murphy, and Mr. Durio, is that if we can keep students in districts, and build a program to support those students in district, that is what we should be doing for our students, least restrictive, but also it's best practice. We want to keep those students here in Brookfield. So if we can build that subsequent classroom to accommodate these students, I think we should do something.
services here in our district and choice to another district, the town still, North Brookfield, the originating district, is still the one that pays whatever services they get sent to by that other
So
school.
that school choice money out, well, that's the cost of the services that we provide, or the tuition. And I don't want to put the cart before the horse with this, but I've seen, Severe's seen, Peoria have seen, programs like this that have been successful with students from other districts start choicing for this program. And public schools can charge their own tuition costs to students who come into these types of programs. So it's something to think about short-term and long-term, because I think that this is something we should really seriously entertain for our students. So in your budget narrative, I listed all of the offsets, and some of the offsets that have been consistent, some of them have faded away, some of them that we're bringing back or adding to the forefront of FY26. But offsets are broken up into a couple different categories: federal grants, state reimbursement programs, and other sources. For example, other sources may be private grants, athletic revolving accounts, things that aren't necessarily consistent year to year, so we can use for a shorter period of time to offset some of our financial costs. We're projecting right now, again, as of January 27th, just over $1.5 million in offsets for FY26. Just a little more detail with some of the offsets. We saw a big increase for FY25 in circuit breaker with our total number plus some carryover numbers, but also we're seeing a decrease for FY26. And part of that is our reduction in numbers that we've seen in the last couple of years and stabilization of some of those adjustments. Our student gift ended in FY25, which will require those items that were offset to be fully absorbed into the local budget. We are going to use some athletic revolving funds to offset athletic transportation for FY26. As I mentioned, E-rate funding. So this supports parts of our technology, hardware, and software. And this is, roughly it's been consistent around 17,000, 18,000 in the last couple of years. That goes right back into the budget. And we did see a rise, and we have seen a consistent rise from FY24 to now, projecting out for FY26 with our rural school aid. So we landed on around 94,000 for FY25, we're projecting around 120 for FY26. So a sizable bump there.
It's good to see it trending that way too, just not to cut you off, but I remember fiscal year 23, it was like 59,000, or no, I think it was 60,200. And then fiscal year 24 went to 61, so they gave us an extra $800. So in the last couple of years, they bumped that up to now double where we were.
It's
years ago, which is a good trend.
Yeah.
Still kind of looks like a drop in the bucket sometimes.
So the governor released her budgets earlier this week, and if you look back at the trends, like you said, it's gone up significantly over the last 3 or 4 years. Where it's almost been funded, it's doubled in size or amount. It's gone up from FY25 to FY26 again. But the tricky part, the way they release the funds, is they give you a number, but then if they have more in the supplemental budget, they'll give you more, which we saw an increase that we weren't expecting, which is a good thing. But with that increase to the initial budget, we're hoping that that 120 remains consistent, if not more, for FY26. So it's been a good thing for school districts like ours. There's a lot of neighboring communities that receive it. There's only a handful in the Commonwealth, but Baldwin, for example, Spencer is another example. So a lot of surrounding communities receive this grant opportunity. School choice revenue, which we've seen that fairly consistent. We had some additional resources last year that was some carryover, but we're seeing anywhere between $315 and $330 annually, and that is based on our school choice receiving in. We have our October numbers, and we have our March numbers, which is not for the full amount, but it's for a part of that $5,000 per student for regular ed, and more than that for special education students. But that amount goes right back into the budget and we've been using that number to offset salaries the past few years. We did see, like I mentioned, $500,000 reduction in our offsets from FY '25 to FY '26. And those are things that we need to kind of continue to look at, and how do we bring in more revenue for the school district. For these next two slides, and the first one and the second one is what we call our DART districts, district analysis and review tools. So these are, the DART schools are school districts that are aligned with North Brookfield as far as size, demographics. There's multiple different factors. So you see on this slide, these are based on 2022 numbers. So those are the numbers that have been released. I know that you can look for 24 numbers, but they haven't been certified by the state. So these are the most recent numbers that you can come across that have been kind of certified by DESI. We're looking at North Brookfield and Avon, which falls into our core group here. So you're looking anywhere from 18,000 to a high of almost 26,000 for Berkshire Hills. We're also paired with Montague and Granby that are both 18,000, 19,000. So this is the amount that we're basically paying, or we're using, which the amount of money per student to educate our kids. And that money goes to instruction, to salaries, to offset the cost to educate each and every individual student here in North Brookfield. The last visual in this presentation is similar one in your narrative, but this is just, I always find this helpful because you look at numbers and words, sometimes it gets lost in translation, but this just shows a simple pie graph of kind of where things fall. And as you can see, salaries is the big part of the budget. A projection of 5.7 million and just over 69% of the overall budget. You have in there special education tuition and transportation are 2 and 3. Then you look at the non-salary parts of both the elementary and the high school budget. They're far less. You look, for example, at elementary school, it's right around $59,000 outside of salaries. So it's not a large chunk of money. You look at buildings and grounds, that's a little bit higher, but that includes our oil prices, which we've had locked in for the last 3 years now. So we've been able to save money there. But a lot of our other categories for our FY '26 budget are pale in comparison to those big three. Those are the ones that continue to drive our budget. So some closing thoughts, and again, I can't stress enough, this is a starting point. But this budget journey, this isn't the final destination. I think that over the next month from now until our February meeting, I hope to have several more conversations with the committee and take questions and receive feedback and talk about next steps. As I tried to mention and I articulate, I think in the narrative that you received, is we need to look at our immediate impact, our immediate goals, but also long-term goals. As I mentioned, with building out a program for our students, there's immediate need, but there's also long-term financial need there as well. We're committed to being transparent and to collaborate with the community, with all of our stakeholders. I know that in the budget, it has been since I've been superintendent, and I think it's been for many years prior, it's been tight. And we need to look at how we make things work. We've been making cuts the last couple of years, and I just want to keep those conversations alive and how we can make this work for all of our students and our families. And then continue to look at making sure we're doing our job, both as superintendent, but also principals and directors, are looking at the priorities of this budget and where we should continue to go for our students and our families, and what are we doing to address our district's needs. Is the presentation for this week. Initial questions?
The total expenditures per pupil, is that Nothing, I see the 2021, the chart about that. What is that data from? Is that,
Which one? This one right here?
yes,
So that, you see the same number, for those, this is just a different strata of schools in town, so it's not necessarily dark schools, but these are schools, some schools that are in our area, some are not, just looking at, kind of where they fall. You look at the expenditure, but also the, number of pupils in the district. So we're obviously the smallest here, but you have some, well, Brookfield is actually small, but you have some that are over 2,000.
what's the current enrollment in the district?
So, that's a good question, and we look at our SIS, we're at, scrap my numbers here real quick. So, looking at our ALMA data, we have 441. But looking through that, kind of going through that with a fine tooth comb, my number is 403. I know Desi has a different number, but I'm unsure of where that number came from, so I need to have some correspondence with them. But we were at 407 for Desi's numbers last year, 24. And what I saw the other day is 397, but like I said, I think I had the number at 403, so I'm gonna verify that with them. Alma has 441 as of today, but I think some of the students that we have in that, in our student information system are students that are not in seats in the building right now.
I've been highlighting stuff in the book, but I think, sure we want the full school committee to have a real in-depth discussion of it at that next meeting. In the meantime, if we have specific questions, but there's some report to look into for us, and we'll make for a more productive meeting next time. We can send him those facts and figures at hand. Been through this process a few times with the finance committee and everything else. It is quite a long process to get through all these lines.
Right. And, given the recent, sorry, I'm reading this on here, the recent, select board meeting, we suggested that we should look into tuitioning the students out to their districts. And that was a suggestion. But it kind of gives the temperature check on where the select board is as far as the budget is concerned. So
the other aspect of it is it takes years.
Yeah, but it's,
So you still have to fund the school in the meantime.
Right.
I think that was missed in that conversation.
yes, that's a key point. It's easy to throw out the idea, but it's quite another to implement it. For those who don't know, tuitioning out to another district is basically a stepping stone to redistricting. And given that we already tried redistricting and we were rejected, I find it hard to believe that we would have an easier time tuitioning students out. And again, that was a years-long process that involved the formation of a special committee. So we'd have to re-identify a district or districts to accept the students from. And it seems like it sounds like a solution in the short term, but it really isn't. I think the best course of action is to pursue the budget that we have in front of us, and obviously with refinement, hopefully feedback and cooperation from finance committee and all the other stakeholders. But yeah, for the record, it's not an easy thing to tuition out however many grades. I think it's suggested grades 7 through 12. And that would be a whole other task.
Which also shows, suggesting that implies that they believe 7 through 12 were in this building.
Right.
They're not.
Right.
6 through 12 is in this building, so now we have 6th graders here. It's, I don't like this anymore for right now, but I don't think it helps. But that's all.
I can say more.
Well, it's just, yeah. We can talk more next month when we have more numbers and facts and figures and stuff. It's not as easy as some conversations have made it sound.
Right.
And it's unrealistic, and it also shows, I guess I'm saying, it also shows a lack of faith in the school, and a lack of faith, I think, in the administration and the students who do a lot. Dante's here, and he talks about all the good things these kids are doing, and you can't, I feel it's like turning your back on them.
Right.
And the solution is not to just dissolve the school, or to even talk about dissolving the school until you've really thought about it, had a lot of conversations, and presented them why that would be the best thing, instead of just the best thing for the tax rate in town.
Right.
Or contrary to that, the other side is we need to show the town what they get for that tax money too. And I think messaging that is an important thing that we've been trying, but sometimes gets through.
Well, we were supposed to have an informational session for the public, basically a Q&A session
Yes.
on this budget, and that was struck off. So I invite the public to attend the upcoming committee meetings here, so you can have questions and be involved in the process. There is a public participation portion, and you can present your questions and they can be addressed in further budget presentations. Or, but seriously, it would help if members of the public attended these meetings and got involved. And I'm not just talking about parents. I'm talking about members of other committees in the town. Because it's easy to have opinions about the school. You don't come to the school, you don't see what's going on, you don't meet with the administrators, with the staff. And it's easy to have strong opinions about things that have happened years ago, but I don't think it's fair to taint the present with your past experiences.
And even if people can't make it to the meeting, we have publicly posted email addresses on the website. If there's a question they would like addressed, they can reach out to one of us, or all of us, so one of us at least sees it. And then it's correspondence. We have a whole correspondence section, and we have a superintendent or school committee reports section where we don't have any correspondence. You know, it's months go by without anyone reaching out to us. We're here. Our job is to figure this stuff out and to respond and bring it forward to the committee. We can't get together and talk about it outside of this. So if we have stuff we can talk about, this is our forum to do that. And we can put it on the agenda, and it can be a public comment, because you're supposed to comment on things that are on the agenda. Reach out. They're on the website. nbschools.org. Send your complaints to tcanada@nbschools.org. I'm here. I'll forward them all to John.
Thank you for putting this together, Tim. It's a lot of work, and thank you to everyone else involved, their contributions to it. It's a lot of work every time it comes around, and it's not easy. So thank you. All right. Any other comments or questions on this preliminary budget? All right, administrators reports.
Okay. I'll start at the high school. When we came back from winter break, we started a new year by beginning PBIS with our middle school students. The PBIS lessons are tied to our portrait of a graduate developed by the staff last year. Students in grades 6 through 8 participated in PBIS lessons during the first and second weeks of school after winter break. We're focusing on positive behaviors in classrooms, hallways, and the lunchroom. And then we tied a contest into this each week. The grades will be competing to be the PBIS champions for the week as voted on by our staff. And I want to give congratulations to Dante and his 8th grade class. They have been the champions the last 2 weeks, so congratulations to the 8th grade. On February 6th, our juniors and seniors will be touring FlexCon as part of our Innovative Pathways program. This is the second year of their program. Students will apply to complete a paid internship at FlexCon and can earn a full-time job after graduation. Last year, we had 5 of our students complete an internship program with FlexCon. Our second annual career fair will be March 11th. We have over 25 different companies and speakers coming to speak to our students about different career opportunities. Students will receive information about different careers that they're interested in. It's a great opportunity for our students to prepare for the future. And I'd like to invite you all to mark your calendars for our first STEAM night on March 25th at 6 p.m. STEAM education is a teaching method that combines science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math to help students learn and solve problems. It's designed to give students a well-rounded education that includes practical skills and critical thinking, which is very important today. STEAM gives students an opportunity to engage in experimental learning, persistent problem solving, embrace collaboration, and work through the creative process. Students will be providing presentations about their projects and learning in these areas if you can all come that night from 6 to 8. I hope you can all join us here at North Brookfield High School. We'll have food and fun and raffles, so it'll be a great night. And I didn't get this in, but I came up, I watched the boys basketball team, so I want to give a quick shout out. They won tonight. They beat Immaculate Heart Mary by 40 points tonight, so congratulations. And I just checked in, the girls are winning as well, so just a quick shout out to both our teams. And that's my report for tonight.
I just want to highlight this Innovative Pathways program. People talk about kids choicing out of the district, and here we are trying to build something that's a draw to the district. And something that differentiates the district from other districts, and I'm happy to see this progress. And again, the public might not be aware of it, and we mentioned it before in the meetings, and I just want to highlight it. That we're working with Flexon. Everyone, you don't know what Flexon is. We're a rock.
Do you remember where a Band-Aid?
Right. So I think it's fantastic that we have this program, and with the emphasis on engineering and STEAM being a big part of the education. I think it's fantastic, and again, a differentiator for North Brookfield compared to other districts. And the more this grows, the more it's a draw to other students. With that in mind, how many students are going to BAPAP? Do we have any?
Great question, so I'm really happy to tell you this. So previous years, we have school choice up to 15, 16 students. This year we had five apply. So we're pretty excited here at North Brookfield High School about the fact that we're starting to retain more of our kids. One of the reasons is because of this program you just mentioned. But yeah, we have 5 kids that applied, and I think of those 5, 2 or 3 are probably serious about it. I talked to the students. A couple of them just applied just because they wanted to apply. But really proud. And by the way, I also want to add that we did not prevent kids from applying. They did the tours. They did everything that we've done in previous years. Dante went on a tour. I know that. So we support BAPAP, and but we're really excited the fact that only 5 of our kids actually applied to school choice out. So that's a big deal for us this year.
Great. I think it's important that kids are getting as many opportunities as possible. Obviously, BAPAP is traditionally, the trades that they offer there. But North Brookfield is offering programs, and gives students a reason to stick around. So I'm looking forward to seeing that program grow and expand to more than just Flexon. It would be nice to see like Vibro and some of the other global companies get involved.
I think it's nice to hear that it's a paid internship too.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing. I mean, you hear a lot about internship opportunities, but not as many of them are paid as people think. And these are good career paths for someone to start earning money right out of high school.
Yeah, our goal just to add on to that is by working with Flexon, Mr. McCormick and I started this last year with Flexon, but the goal is that when they finish their internship, that they will have a real career at Flexon. It's not just they're going to do their internship and walk away and forget about it. Our goal with Flexon is that some of our students will choose to remain there if they choose to live a career with Flexon. And we also applied other grants as a small little school. We have to find creative ways to fund things. So another grant we applied for is to have the majority of our students paid for their internships, whether they go to Flexon or choose to go somewhere else. And so our school counselor, Ms. Earhart, has been working on that. So we have about 18 applications that we applied for to get students paid, our seniors paid, fourth quarter to do paid internships throughout the area, not just Flexon as well.
This internship or work-based opportunity, that is kind of the end point. We're starting kind of backwards to get this program going, but the intent or the hope is that for next year's freshmen, they will start in some advanced manufacturing pathway and start by taking STEM classes to push the way. That first year, second year, that fourth year is that capstone internship classroom program, if you will. And if they don't want to go to the workforce right away, they're going to earn credentials along the way and potentially college credit, so they can go right into a college degree or into tech engineering as an undergraduate at the college level. So it's really pretty excited. We started it kind of backwards, to kind of start some excitement. The real pathway starts next year when the incoming freshmen will go into this for the next 4 years. There'll be more to come about this, but that's a very modified version of what's going to happen. Sorry, Mr. Curry.
No,
I jumped in there. I wanted to add that piece.
We've been saving that for the big reveal. Some other week.
Well, there hopefully will be, but I just, the FlexCon piece is fantastic, but it's like the end part, right? So a lot of the coursework will be done much earlier on, which potentially will be done much earlier on, so we want to really emphasize that as well.
And just for the record, that's Steve night, March 25th, that is a Tuesday.
yes.
Thank you, Mr. Yoder. Mr. Murphy is absent tonight, but he submitted his report. On December 12th, the North Brookfield Elementary School hosted Cocoa with Cops. He writes, this was an amazing event organized by one of our same great teachers, Trish Tarantino. Law enforcement from local and state agencies joined us for a special morning of fun with some hot cocoa and a team building activity. The theme for this year was Happy Holidays Creatures. Law enforcement personnel were paired with a group of students and given the task to build a holiday creature with a box of random craft materials while enjoying a hot chocolate. The PTO and the high school studio helped distribute beverages. It was an amazing morning and a huge thank you to Ms. Tarantino, staff, students, and our law enforcement personnel for creating these great memories for building great for. There are some photos included. Piece here for going back education, professional development. Our staff has had 2 PD sessions with Dr. Angela Burke from Going Back Education around UDL implementation at its University Design Program. Dr. Burke was on site Friday, December 13th and Tuesday, January 21st. Dr. Burke has over 20 years of experience as an educator within a variety of school structures, including charter, interdistrict, magnet, pilot, and whole, as well as the charter management organization. Her experience spans from kindergarten through 6th grade. She has served in various leadership roles in and out of the classroom. Her most recent experiences have been as an assistant superintendent and chief academic officer and director of curriculum, instruction, assessment, and technology. She's level 1 and 2 certified in UDL with certificates in completion in both DEI and initial leadership from Cornell. The focus of the professional development was to interweave our new curriculum with UDL best practices. For example, determine whether a specific Massachusetts state standard is a content-based standard or a method-based standard, and how to remove barriers from the curriculum for students. Pedagogical moves to increase understanding and engagement. PD received high praise from staff who appreciated a clear focus, highly qualified representative who is the same each time, and the time to create a product and ask clarifying questions to achieve. We're in our second wave of testing for the winter season. Sometime McNamara is currently testing K-5 on the Nichols assessment. It's based on the latest research for identifying and supporting all developing readers. It analyzes the child's development with great appropriate foundational reading skills. Information obtained from this diagnostic assessment helps to determine targeted instruction of specific skills that your child needs to develop as a successful reader. This data will be used to guide small group and individual support. Each year, the assessment is given 3 times to monitor the child's progress in the beginning, middle, and end of the school year, and scores will be sent home before the child has reached the testing period. I believe the assessment results were sent home this week, the latest one. Classroom teachers will begin to get the second MAPS test this the week of January 27th. MAPS is done 3 times a year at Elementary, and is one of our main benchmarks for student growth and achievement. MAPS testing is done in over 50,000 schools worldwide and taken by over 16 million students. The first test in the fall is our baseline, this teacher's grading the second our students' current level and grade level of reading and math. The next test takes place in winter and the last one in spring. We use this data to track student growth and the effectiveness for our curriculum and instruction. That is the end of Mr. Markey's report.
So just have a few brief updates for January. In preparation for Destiny's review of the district's English learner education program, I participated in a training session that was held by Destiny last week, which provided an overview of the upcoming review process that will take place during the 25-26 school year. As part of where we are in the cohort that comes up in that school year. The very first step in that review process will be a self-assessment component that we will have to complete by late spring. So we will start out that work, that training session is completed. Our preschool teachers participated in an early literacy training session for a program called Lively Letters. And that's a multi-sensory literacy program specifically designed for young children. So it's a great opportunity for our youngest students to be exposed to early literacy and build those foundational skills. And then finally, the transition from our prior IEP platform school brains was completed at the beginning of this month. So we have closed out of that program and now are fully on the plan program moving forward. Any questions?
Thank you.
We have the Office of Facilities and Grounds. Pete is here. Got
Any highlights for us, Mr. Eady?
When I got my report, working with Snyder Electric and CTC on the building automation system for the heating. Working with them to try to resolve some issues that we had and currently having. Been working on the day-to-day operations and keeping me busy, just dealing with the day-to-day problems and issues that come up. Working on the capital plan budget, working with the superintendent on that, creating a list of all the issues that I see within the district and trying to gather as much information as I can so that we can present it down the road in a little bit more detail. Other than that, it's just dealing with a lot of issues during the day, day-to-day stuff.
I see you have noted here the emergency generator didn't kick on. Did you hear any feedback on that? I see it was on the power outage was on the 21st. That was the, people weren't aware there was a power outage in town, affected Brookfield and some other towns. But did you get any answer back or?
I had a service call log the following day, and they came out and did a major preventive maintenance on it, and they found some problems where radiator cap on the radiator was not properly sealing because it was old. Which was creating a vacuum into the system, so it would then create an error, and then it would actually shut the system down because it was taking in too much air. And we were losing water out of the radiator as well. So that was fixed. There was also some fuel lines that we had to replace in there. That was creating problems. And there was some other stuff. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it needed a maintenance on it. We got it done.
I thought when, because I understand they added additional, there's like additional wiring and circuits added during, there was a recent upgrade to that to make it, to get the recertification, I think by the American Red Cross, for it to be, for the school to be able to use as a shelter. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite
What-
hear you.
Was, my understanding is that, I think it's through the North Brookfield Emergency Management Agency, they got the system upgraded so they could provide power as a shelter. I think they added,
It was in elementary school.
no, it was,
Was it high school?
yeah, it was high school, I think because they wanted to add some circuits, so they could add hot water and I think some in the kitchen. But, I thought as part of that whole upgrade, there was like, they made sure that it was running and everything was good. So it's, you know,
Yeah, I'm not aware of that upgrade. I mean, I've heard about it, but haven't really got into exactly what that covered
okay.
at this point.
It might have been more on the wiring side.
I
That's why I
think
was
it
curious to
was.
see what the.
I do know that there was some electrical work done in the building to cover some of the electrical outlets and other types of things, but I'm not up to speed on all of that.
This most recent service call was covered in our service plan, right? So,
And I think there are a few things that we have to have done to it. And I'm waiting on the estimate to fix what needs to be fixed.
Any other questions from Steve? Thank you. Technology update, got a what has been received and added into the proposed budget for 30 replacement of Windows 11 PCs. This is necessary as Windows 11 is end of life. As of October of 25, there will be no further security updates. Building administration computers will be the first to be upgraded, configured, and made to be able to communicate with each other. All report cards from 1 to 2 went out on Friday, the 24th. 20 additional Chromebooks that were purchased are being incorporated into the workspace. E-rate and SE access has been granted in Form 470 has been submitted for a district enjoyment. Plenty of that means.
it just means the internet's reimbursed at 70 or 79%, so we don't incur the whole cost.
That's the Form 470.
That's the full mix fill out. You see the working rate in your budget line, that's what that means.
The maintenance items are on hold until the license is renewed for access points. I don't know, with the power outage, there's the internet outage as well. The schools that was resolved.
Yes. So when the power came back on Friday, one we had in our, what was it, one of the servers, yeah. So TechMD, identified the issue, came out and brought a used one for us to use until we can get one on it, so it's fine. So they were excellent.
Great. policy.
No, just regarding that real quick, we had multiple meetings prior to December, I wanted to try to get back on that. And have it, if you will, we have some policies that want to review. So I know we had a member who just had to wait for next update, so I don't know what our next steps are, but.
Yeah, we had the committee member depart, and she was on the subcommittee policy, so I can volunteer someone to be on the committee, but I don't want to. There's a volunteer. All right. So, have a meeting next month.
Yeah, we can do it prior to our general meeting, like, that's kind of.
Yep. That'd be great. Ross is doing this.
Shut it down.
Yeah.
When you're here.
All right. Any new business? No executive session. Great. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning this meeting?
Let's go discuss it first.
Aye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.